My dear brothers and sisters, it is all with great joy that I receive these blueprints and accept this beautiful new house of God. We give thanks to God, but I also want to thank you and to congratulate you for the fine work, dedication, and devotion that has led to the building of this new house of God. This house of God speaks of your faith. It is a monument to your faith. And everyone that sees it will say, these people are believers. It bears witness of your faith to all who will look upon it. And in this house of God, you will worship and you will receive God's blessings. And so with these thoughts, then, let us proceed to the blessing of this new temple of God. Reverend Monsignori, Reverend Fathers, Reverend Sisters, my dear brothers and sisters, the first reading from the book of Nehemiah is admirably suited for today's celebration. It describes an event in the Old Testament that in many ways is similar to the event that we celebrate today. The event we celebrate today is so similar to that event described in the first reading, particularly in 5 ways. First of all, remember the people of God had just returned from exile and had come back from a faraway country. The parishioners of this parish did not come from exile, but most of them came from faraway countries. Secondly, upon their return from exile, the people of God, the Jewish people, saw the need to rebuild their altar, their temple, and the walls of the holy city. And upon coming here from faraway countries, the parishioners of Canadian Martyrs Parish saw the need to build a new parish. And so after much searching, a land and a church were bought, and the parish began in 1995. Many of you were here for the blessing of the first Canadian Martyrs Church. But soon after the parish had been established and the first church was blessed, it became clear that the church was simply too small. There simply was not enough room for all the parishioners. And it was clear that a new and larger church and larger parish facilities were needed. But there was also a great problem. There were problems in realizing that need. A third similarity is this: the Jewish people returning from exile, in rebuilding their altar, their temple, and the walls of the holy city, they experienced much opposition and great difficulties, but they had great faith, and God helped them. So also the parishioners of Canadian Martyrs Parish, in planning for the future, they were faced with great problems and difficulties. A new and larger church and bigger facilities seemed completely out of reach. The parish share in the cost of the land was high, and the cost of a new church, a new building, was simply more than the parish could afford. But the people of God of this parish, like the people of God in the Old Testament, they had faith in their God and they prayed for help. And help came. God answered those prayers by sending a generous benefactor who asked to remain anonymous, but who gave a huge donation to the parish, making it possible to go ahead. So with that donation and with the generosity and hard work of the parishioners, a new parish church and these new beautiful facilities became a reality. A fourth similarity. Upon completion and rebuilding of their altar, temple, and the walls, the Jewish people gathered first of all to give thanks to God, recognizing that it was God's work and God's gift, and gathered secondly to ask for God's blessing, and thirdly to renew their commitment and their covenant to their God. Today, like the Jewish people gathered in the square before the water gate of the city, we are gathered here first of all to thank God for this beautiful new church and for these parish facilities, recognizing and acknowledging that his part in all of this, the gift that he brought to this parish, that it is the work of the Lord. Secondly, we're gathered to ask for God's blessing on this new church and these new facilities. And thirdly, we're gathered here today, like the Jewish people of old, to rededicate ourselves to God by renewing our covenant with our God, that we shall be his people and that he will always be our God. And we do offer these thanks and we renew our covenant with God in the celebration of the Eucharist, which is the greatest thanksgiving prayer that we have. And we renew our covenant with God in the Eucharist, because in the Eucharist we truly become united with God as our people and with each other in the covenant. And then finally, the fifth similarity, after the Jewish people had renewed their covenant with God, Ezra told them not to be sad any longer, but to be happy and to celebrate. And so I today, taking the place of Ezra, say to you, this day is sacred to the Lord your God. Do not be sad any longer. Do not weep. Be full of joy and celebrate. Go, eat rich foods and drink sweet wines, for this day is sacred to the Lord. God bless you all.